look like a freshly born Gerber baby if I'm gonna be spending $2 million on anti-aging hacks? Hey everyone, I'm Abbey Sharp. Welcome to Abby's Kitchen. In today's video, we'll be taking a look at tech sent to millionaire Bryan Johnson's biohacking longevity blueprint that promises to turn back the hands of time. A huge thank you to Eric Williamson of Unlocked Fitness and Nutrition, who helped me in the research on this video. So if you're looking for any kind of one-on-one nutrition support for weight loss or fitness nutrition, they really are my go-to team. So I am going to be linking all of their links below. And if you are new here, definitely don't forget to please subscribe, and you can check out my free hunger crushing combo ebook and my new protein ebook in the description below. Okay, so Bryan Johnson, aka the most measured man, has spent $2 million working with a team of 30 doctors to basically Benjamin Button himself over the past 2 years. In results that he made available to the public, he apparently has slowed the aging process down by about 31 years and has achieved a body inflammation level 85% below your average 18-year-old. I mean, my teen years were not my healthiest, so I'm not sure that that would be a really great ROI for me personally, but definitely impressive nonetheless. And based on his own extensive investment and success, he created a longevity blueprint protocol that he shares widely online. So today we're going to be unpacking its main components with a little science and sass. Okay, let me hop in here quickly to tell you about my sponsor today, Thrive Market. So this time of year is challenging for a lot of people because we are extra motivated to eat well and take care of our bodies, but the price of groceries is kind of insane. But if you haven't heard of Thrive Market, get excited because it really has changed the game for me. So Thrive Market is an amazing online membership-based grocery store that aims to make health-focused specialty products more affordable and accessible to everyone. They are a one-stop shop offering foods and snacks, eco-friendly kitchen and cleaning supplies, beauty items, supplements, home goods, and everything in between. Most of the year I live here in Canada, but as soon as I get down to the States, I order my Thrive box because there are just so many amazing products that you cannot get anywhere else. Basically, you can filter by over 90 different diets, lifestyles, and values like vegan, fair trade, gluten-free, and more. They also have an amazing selection of sustainable seafood, wine, and nutritious snacks that my kids love. Every time I order, I discover a handful of new products that basically become instant staples for us. And the best part is, all items are less expensive than traditional retail, they price match, and members make back their annual $60 membership in savings. And if for whatever reason you don't, Thrive will credit you the difference. I also love their commitment to sustainability. So not only is shipping on orders over $49 free, but everything is delivered with carbon neutral shipping and from their zero waste warehouses. Another thing I really love about Thrive is that for every paid annual membership, the Thrive Gives initiative gives away a free membership to a low-income family, teacher, and/or veteran. There's really so many reasons to feel good about ordering from Thrive. So if you want to save some money on really unique health products this year, check out the link in my description, thrivemarket.com/Abbey Sharp, to get 30% off of your first order and a free gift worth up to $60. Biohack number 1 is consuming 2,250 calories per day with a 10% calorie deficit. So we often see suggestions that a calorie-restricted diet is associated with longer life because a calorie deficit slows our metabolism, slows cell turnover, and increases autophagy and other processes that help to clean out damaged and dysfunctional proteins. So we see tons of examples of this in the animal research, where, for example, monkeys who are given a diet with a 25% deficit from around adolescence to the end of their life lived approximately 3 years, or around 11.5% longer. If this were translated into humans and added 11.5% to the average American life length of 79, would mean us living to 88 instead. I think this is what the kids these days would describe as so clutch.
Immediately no.
But alas, we're not monkeys. So in human research, like the calorie study, participants were prescribed a 25% calorie deficit for 2 years. Now, a 25% deficit for 2 whole years is kind of an insane ask. So participants only achieved a 12% deficit on average. However, even with that deficit, they found reductions in metabolism, lower inflammatory markers, and lower cardiovascular risk factors. Also, those who stuck to the calorie deficit of at least 10% saw the aging of their DNA, aka DNA methylation, slow down by 2 to 3%. Not quite the effect that we're seeing in animals like monkeys, but if followed over an entire adult lifetime, it could be at least 2 years gained in life. So sure, caloric restriction for longevity is supported by evidence. It may not be direct evidence because we can't force people to restrict their calories until they die, but we do have indicators suggesting that it may help to reduce the risk of early death and early disease. That said, you kind of have to decide if being on a diet until you die is worth maybe getting 2 more extra years.
It's definitely a no for me though.
But if you do want to attempt a weight loss diet, it is imperative that you are incorporating resistance exercise into your regimen, since humans are a lot more susceptible to loss of muscle and bone than most animals. Biohack number 2, fast for 16 to 18 hours per day. So we have covered fasting in a lot of detail in this video right here. And if you recall, the main takeaways from my video were A, that it can help some people, but not everyone, with managing their weight, and B, early time restricted feeding, where you cut off your feeding window before the evening, can improve insulin sensitivity and metabolic health. And C, longer fasts risk muscle loss if not doing a lot of resistance training and consuming adequate protein. So as with most diets, if it lowers your risk of obesity and or improves insulin sensitivity, it typically lowers your risk of diseases that may lead to early death. But there are 2 other unique factors that may explain how fasting could improve your longevity in humans. One is that it reduces oxidative stress. So this comes back to damaged and dysfunctional proteins and their role in aging. So if we kind of go back to grade 10 science class, oxidative stress is the creation of molecules that are missing an electron. So these molecules then steal electrons from important cells, leaving those cells damaged and dysfunctional. Now, oxidative stress is actually one of the main theories of aging. So anything that can reduce oxidative stress is said to help. And early time restricted feeding, so again, basically a fasting window where you eat your breakfast, you have your lunch, but you skip dinner, likely reduces that oxidative stress. Unfortunately, this is not how most people do intermittent fasting, right? Now, the second aspect of fasting that's associated with longevity is a term that all the TikTok wellness gurus love to overuse, autophagy. So this is the process of those damaged and dysfunctional proteins being cleaned up and removed. Again, the benefit here is with that early time restricted feeding, where research suggests that it increased autophagy gene expression by about 10 to 20%. A full 36-hour fast, and you might even be able to bump that up to 20 to 30%. Now, interestingly, these numbers are relatively small when compared to exercise, where we're looking at an over 100% increase. And personally, I like exercise a lot more than not eating for a day and a half. Now, it's important to know, though, that there is such thing as too much autophagy. As this published cartoon depiction from the Journal of Autophagy shows, we want to prevent a mess from oxidative stress and clean it up, but we can actually go too far to the point that we lose healthy cells and or loss of important cellular organs like the mitochondria. It's also really important to know that there are loads of causes of oxidative stress, like pollutants, obesity, processed foods, and even psychological stress. And there are a lot of behaviors that can reduce oxidative stress and increase autophagy. So things like exercise, like we discussed, sleep, stress management, and eating a nutrient-dense diet high in antioxidants. Intermittent fasting actually has a relatively small effect, and it's kind of impossible to quantify exactly how much without teasing out the weight loss benefits. But even if we just compare its autophagy benefits to those from exercise, it's hard to make an argument that you should skip dinner for the rest of your life, in my opinion anyway. So yeah, this is up to you if you decide it's a habit worth your sanity. Okay, biohack number 3, eating 70 pounds of vegetables per month. Okay, so 70 pounds is a kind of big, scary number. I mean, I kind of feel bloated just thinking about it, but it ends up working out to about 2.3 pounds or a kilogram per day. So in a day, that would be equivalent to you consuming 1 whole head of celery, 10 cups of kale, and 3 cups of chopped sweet potatoes, which is definitely still a lot, but if you were super committed, it could be done. But does it have to? Well, the American Heart Association recommends 4 to 5 servings of fruits and vegetables per day based on huge studies like this and this. And as you can see, your risk of early death significantly declines once you reach about 5 servings of produce. And then after that, your return on investment isn't really that great. Each serving of vegetables in these studies is around 80 grams, so most of the effect on enhancing longevity is around 400 grams. That is less than a pound and far less than 2.3 pounds. The 400 gram recommendation is also supported by a modeling study using multiple meta-analysis that found that 400 grams of vegetables per day would increase the lifespan by about 6 months if implemented around the age of 45. Now, while his suggestion of consuming nearly 2.5 times this amount is likely overkill, at least from a direct longevity standpoint, there's really no risk to this, and I can also just understand wanting to have extra vegetables that are high in nutrients, water, and fiber to try to keep him full if he's trying to constantly maintain a 10% calorie deficit. Fiber and volume-rich veg is really going to be key when trying to diet. Biohack number 4, a specific macro ratio of 90% protein, 33% carbs, and 48% fat. This is wildly specific and must be somehow tailored to his needs based on all of the excessive medical testing he's had done. As we discussed in our video on macros, protein is usually the most important macronutrient to manipulate based on your goals.
Protein.
And at 90% of his calories from protein, he's getting around 108 grams of protein per day, or just under 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, which is close to what's ideal for muscle gain, a little low for supporting weight loss, but is totally in the clear for good health. Now, I noticed Bryan cited Stu Phillips' paper on optimum protein intakes for health, which suggests a range of 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram. So that maybe explains where he gets his number. Now, the specific ratios for carbs and fat, however, are a lot less important than where you're getting your carbs and fats from. That is, we want whole, nutrient-dense options, which he obviously seems to fulfill beautifully. His diet actually looks quite close to a Mediterranean-style diet with a variety of colors, plenty of fiber, and lots of phytonutrients from plant-based foods. Now, we've talked before about how caloric restriction possibly could add 2+ years, optimal veggie intake adding 0.5 years, and intermittent fasting maybe adding some time too, but unlikely to have a huge effect, especially for someone who's already quite fit and healthy. But all of this pales in comparison to eating a whole food diet rich in whole grains, legumes, fruits, and veggies. Research suggests that this dietary pattern can add an additional 11.7 years to your life when compared to a Western diet if implemented at age 40. Now that seems like a good ROI. Finally, biohack number 5 is taking 100+ pills per day. I'm pretty good at swallowing pills, but I'm feeling just a little bit gaggy thinking about that. I'm not going to dive into his extensive list of pills, most of which are supplements, but some of which are actually drugs like metformin. But there is no question there are a lot of great supplements on his list here. Cocoa flavanols, ashwagandha, DHEA, D3, even pea protein. But my general messaging on supplements is that a simple and streamlined supplement regimen can really be helpful for a lot of folks in taking the stress out of eating perfectly for their goals. 100 supplements, on the other hand? Like, I can't think of a more stressful, expensive, and logistically intense endeavor. Like, you would need a whole supplement pantry just to store everything. So yeah, this is just not realistic for anyone who isn't a centimillionaire. Now, obviously, his website is a treasure trove of intense data tracking and protocol details if you're interested in every test he's run, how much he spent, and what his results have been. But outside of his ode to sleep, which I agree on is key, I didn't see a whole lot of focus on mental or social health. And that's kind of important. When we look at big studies like this one, we see that the number and strength of our relationships are even better predictors of our longevity than anything that is physical health related. Same with having a sense of purpose in life and optimism, which can add as much as 12 years to our lives. But with all that said, what we can take away is that from a nutrition perspective at least, the most impactful thing that we can do is choosing a mostly whole food, nutrient-dense diet. Some people may find that the trade-off of caloric restriction, optimal macros, and intermittent fasting worth it for some smaller effects, but if it's impacting your mental health or leading us to not be able to spend quality time with our family and friends, affecting our happiness and relationships, then it could actually end up having an overall detrimental effect. So that was my professional opinion. My personal opinion is to fasting and dieting and get a hobby, make a new friend, live your best life. There's really not a whole lot of point in living an extra year or two if you are anxious and miserable as. But on that note, thank you again to Eric Williamson for helping with today's script. I'm leaving a link below for his information if you're looking for any one-on-one weight loss or Finnish nutrition support. Also, leave me a comment below on your longevity or biohacking thoughts. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time on Abby's Kitchen. Bye!